Hey guys, how you doing? I hope you're doing really well. So today I'm going to talk about a book. I'm going to talk about an artist that I love. I discovered this artist when I was a bit younger. I was watching TV and this video clip started, and I was just impressed to see this woman. And to me, she looked so strong, so confident, and I just found her so majestic. And I really love her message of empowerment. And what made the message more special is that she just decided to release this track at a moment where gangster rap was really popular. And not to be so stereotypical, but at the time, gangster rap was filled with derogatory terms about women. I'm talking about Queen Latifah. So, I decided I wanted to learn more about her life, so I decided to buy her memoir. So, Queen Latifah, and the name of the book is Ladies First: Revelations of a Strong Woman. So, this book was really influential in my life to become a strong woman. I was just basically a fan of a woman coming into the hip hop scene. Anything and everything that's in favor of women empowerment, anything that is promoting awareness on domestic abuse, I'm a fan of it. So I was just impressed to hear such messages in the hip hop scene. Also, I think Queen Latifah is a very, very important figure in hip hop, and I just find it very. I feel it's a shame that we don't have many women with a distinct voice to promote female empowerment, I don't know, education. I mean, we also need role models. We also need women with a strong message for raising awareness against domestic abuse, human trafficking, all these difficulties that women face in life. I think we need to still be vocal about it because the struggle is not finish. I mean, as long as we have all these inequalities, we still need to be vocal about it. So yeah, I really wanted to know more about her life journey. I really wanted to know more about her career in hip hop, and that's why I decided to buy this book. I basically wanted to be inspired. Another point that I really enjoyed about this book is that she's really honest about her journey. She's really candid. She's not trying to portray herself in a certain light, and that's what I love about her. Because, as I told you, when I saw her, I was really impressed to see a strong, confident woman. And obviously, most of the time, when you see a strong woman, you think that she has it all figured out. You think that she has her life together. But strong women also go through things, they go through difficulties, and it was really nice to see that her life wasn't perfect. She hasn't always made the best decision, but it's about how you jump back from it, how you bounce back from your mistakes. So with this book, I felt like this book was dedicated to me straight away, because at the beginning she said that this book is dedicated to every woman who has ever felt like less than royalty. And there was a point in my life where I was receiving all these messages about how to be a black queen. You're a black queen. And personally, it was a dark moment in my life, and it was not really resonating with me. And I felt more ashamed that I have finally a movement celebrating black womanhood, and I find it difficult to receive it. That's because I was in a dark place. And I really like the idea that yes, you are being encouraged to feel like a queen, but it's okay if you don't feel like it yet. It's going to take time. Just take the step to love yourself, to develop yourself, to know yourself. So basically, I read the first line and I felt like this book is for me, because so many times I felt less like a queen. And it's okay. Take time. You just need to find the time. You need to learn the tools to love yourself. Now, can I please have a moment to stop and talk about the foreword written by Queen Latifah's mother? I was just blown away by the foreword, because I was just impressed by the level of support that Rita Rita Ray Owens, that's the name of her mother. The level of support that Rita is showing to her daughter. This is so important to encourage your children to believe in themselves. This is what transpires from this. And I feel like she just planted the seeds of confidence into her daughter, and that's how we have this wonderful, majestic artist that is Queen Latifah. So it was really inspiring, and I just feel like this is the type of mother I want to be. I just want to bring the confidence to my children, to let them know that whatever they want to do, I'm with them. She's definitely rooting for her daughter. She's encouraging her daughter to have her own identity. She's saying that I wanted her to stick up for herself. This is so important. Constructing your own identity, walking to your own beat, walking to your own rhythm, so important. She's also really realistic. She said that their relationship was not perfect. She's not happy with everything her daughter has done in the past, but she's here for her daughter. She's here for her. And I think what I love as well, there are so many things that I loved about it, there are so many things that I've put in color, is the fact that she says confidence doesn't have to be loud. Just because you're the loudest in the room doesn't mean that you're the strongest in the room. This is a conception that people have wrong most of the time. Being loud doesn't mean that you're strong, doesn't mean that you're confident, it doesn't mean that you're charismatic. So she's saying confidence and strength can be quiet. I love it because I'm a quiet person, it resonates with me. Now, if you look at parenting, she gives a lot of very, very good advice. She say that you don't build confidence, you don't instill self-confidence in your kids when you're constantly criticizing them. So this is something to keep in mind, and I wish more people had this advice in check when they raise their kids. She's also saying that you don't need to wait to receive approval or love from people. It needs to come from yourself. Don't sit and wait for people to show you love or to show you approval. And yeah, basically the foreword was from the start, from the jump, amazing, mind-blowing. So we have an introduction, and then the book is divided into two parts. The first part is about her life journey. It's really the biographical part. The second part is where she gives more life advice. Now we have the introduction. I really love the introduction because first thing first, she throw more light into what it means to be a queen. And I did struggle quite a bit with this idea of being a queen, because for many years I didn't feel like a queen. I just felt like my life was in shambles and I was not very. So to make it clear, she stresses the fact that being a queen has nothing to do with the way you look, with how much money you make, with which car you're driving, not at all. Being a queen is all about how you keep your dignity and how you are able to thrive throughout life, how you're able to bounce back through life events. Whatever life is throwing at you, how do you get out of it? Do you keep your dignity? Do you keep your strength? Do you want to move forward? This is what a queen is according to Queen Latifah, and I agree with this. It's all about being true to yourself and being your best self. She also says that a queen is someone which is okay with herself and someone which is okay with God, someone which is authentic. I think what attracted me to this book and to Queen Latifah's life trajectory is the fact that she's also a black girl who grew up in the inner city, and she just wanted to thrive through life, and this is basically what I wanted to do as well. I'm a young black woman also coming from the inner city, and I felt like whatever advice she has to give, I could benefit from it. What I admire about Queen Latifah, and the reason why she's one of my favorite artists, the reason why she's one of my favorite rapper, is that she's taking her role seriously. You understand that whatever you say using the medium of rap, using the medium of popular culture, is going to have a strong impact on younger people. And she does make a reference to my favorite song. She says, I wrote it because all around I saw women being verbally and physically assaulted, especially in rap music. Gangsta rap was ruling at the time, and with it came all the misogynistic, I don't know how to pronounce this word, language, And crazy as it sounds, somebody helps me pronouncing this word, misogynistic, misogynistic. Okay, I'm French, I'm trying. To my defense, I need to say, guys, a lot of people say French is difficult to learn. I need to tell you, English is very difficult to speak. Pronunciation doesn't make sense. So yes, I understand English perfectly. I can read full books in English. Now to speak English is where my struggle begins. So please bear with me. Really felt in this song that she's trying to answer back to all this negative talking we had about women in some gangster rap songs. I don't want to say that gangster rap is bad for women as a whole. That's a topic for a different video, but in a lot of songs we did have strange references to women in general. Anyway, I like the fact that she's taking her role seriously, and she says also in the book, that's why I keep my music positive. I want to uplift, I want to inform. We have an artist which takes her role seriously. I love that. I'm rooting for that. Young ladies, older ladies, no one has the right to call you out of your name. No one has the right to be verbally, physically, emotionally abusive. Another very important message is that you define who you are. Do not let the world dictate who you are. Do not let your friends, do not let popular culture define who you are. I'm going to try to be quick because I don't want the video to be too long. So first chapter, we learn about how she came to finding her name Queen Latifah, because her real name is Dana Owens. She explains that at the time, names which sounded Muslim were really popular, and she gives herself a little bit of social and cultural context to it, which I really liked. And she said that basically finding her own name, deciding her own name, gave her a bit of freedom. She loved the name Queen Latifah because it means kind, sensitive, delicate, and she's also giving a lot of background history about African queens, and I was like, yes sis, I loved it. So all of this is on the first chapter. The next chapter, which is chapter number 2, is more about her parents and the impact their separation had on her. So it took a real toll on her. She explained the hardships and the difficulties her mother had to go through as a single parent. And also she shows that it helped her actually to gain maturity, to become stronger and to become resilient. Queen Latifah explained that it was difficult for her to rebuild herself after the divorce of her parents, and it was difficult for her mother as well to rebuild herself and to carry on with her personal life. I think she's really realistic because she's extremely grateful for all the work, all the sacrifices her mother has made for them to have a good life despite the circumstances. But at the same time, she's quite adamant that she's totally missing her father. She said that life was good, but something was missing. My father was missing. She's also realizing that her mother made the right decision. On the one side, she recognized that her dad was missing from her life, and on the other side, she recognized that as a woman, if the relationship is not for your best, maybe it's not good to stay, maybe it's time for you to leave. And she's quite clear about it. She's explaining that her father has his own struggles, but at the same time, he was putting their family in jeopardy. So she's basically saying, the longer you stay, the worse you feel about yourself. when you're in a relationship that's not good for you, that's detrimental for your mental health, when you're not feeling insecurity, you're not feeling good about yourself, leave. And she's actually saying, and it did resonate with me, she's saying the longer you stay, the worse you feel about yourself. This is so true. Sometimes you're so addicted to your relationship that, and you're stubborn, you want to stay in it, but the longer you stay, the longer everything becomes toxic, and you become toxic for yourself. The way you think becomes toxic. It becomes more difficult to live because, of course, you're realizing that you're accepting things that you shouldn't, and it becomes more difficult for you to realize your worth because you feel like, oh, I've accepted it for so long. Why should I leave now? Maybe that's what I deserve. We see that she loves, she adores, and she respects her dad. And I really love the fact that her dad did not prevent her to do things just because she was a girl. I think dads are really important into instilling strength into their daughters, and as he did, into showing to their daughters that because you're a girl, because you're a woman, you should never feel limited in your life. And I love the fact that she's saying that her dad told her that I could be strong without being a bully. This is so deep. I admire the fact that we have an honest portrayal. So she loves her dad. So she's saying, our father was our protector. He was our hero and we idolized him. He was the strongest, the smartest, the best looking man in the world to us. Her dad also has internal struggle. He had his own battle, but she realizes it, and she admits that she was a bit disappointed by his infidelity. He was a major reason his parents couldn't stay together. So by the end of this chapter, she realizes that she cannot control the way people live. She cannot control people's action, and what she can do is take her dad for who he is and accept him as a human. She is also honest in revealing that the actions of her father had an impact on the way she saw men and on the way she felt like she could or she couldn't trust men. It really did have a negative impact on a relationship with men. So by the end of the chapter, she realizes that, let me find it. Okay, she realizes that he was not the Superman I had built him to be, and I could make the choice to accept who he was and to embrace the good that he was capable of offering. Nice life lesson. Nobody's perfect. So chapter 4 is more about hip-hop. We learn more about her love for hip-hop, how she started to rap, and she said that for her, rap is more than music, it's communication. On a more social and cultural aspect, she said that for her, hip-hop is bigger than racial or ethnic lines. And if I can add it, I also believe that hip-hop is also bigger than social lines, because nowadays hip-hop is not dedicated to a specific social class or a specific social group, and this is just amazing to see people gathering and sharing their love for hip-hop. I really like this chapter because I just felt like I was in the scene. It was really fun and light, and she's talking about all the parties that they had, and I just felt like I was there. I just felt like I was partying with them. I could just feel the vibes. I could just feel the feeling. It was really a fun chapter to read. We also learned how it was, how she managed to think about her image, how she developed her image. And I love the fact that in this chapter we see that her mother believed in her from the start when she said, "Mom, I want to rap." And she said that having the right type of support is really important. You know what else is important when you want to dedicate yourself to something and to have talent? What is important is practice. She says nothing comes without practice, and she said when she started rap she was very bad at it, and basically This line is very important. She's saying success is when opportunity meets preparation. So whatever you're doing, practice, practice, practice. That's how you will be successful. So when I was reading chapter 4 and chapter 5, I was really buzzing with excitement. She was talking about the rap scene in Brooklyn, BK. It was just really exciting to read these chapters. So when she started rapping, she admits that it was a bit difficult for her to find her image because she wasn't used to see people who look like her, and that's where it's important to be represented. I always say that, how do we have all these big brands, all this media with people who are not representing everyone in the population? When I was growing up, I grew up in France, and I was always mad to watch TV and see people who didn't look like me. I feel like my life is not represented in their movies, in their show. I feel like my life was not important. My narrative was not being presenting in in the shows. So here we see that it's really, really important. And when she finally went to a show and saw women who looked like her, which she could identify to, it was really helpful for her to start to craft her image. Chapter 6 is where we have this type of climax, because this is the moment where she's starting to gain monumental success. However, there is a before and an after, because in chapter 6, this is where we learn about the death of her brother. She was deeply affected. She has been traumatized by the death of her brother, because she felt like it was not just her brother. She definitely 100% felt like her brother was also her best friend. And I felt it was really, really touching, because it's true that sometimes we have family members and we believe that just because we are family, automatically it means that we do have this bond together, but unfortunately it's not always the case. So she's saying that let me find it. She's saying that her brother was her protector and her soulmate. Like, how touching is this? This chapter is also so personal to her, and she's making a lot of introspection, and we learn how she went through the stages of grief. She's being really intimate throughout this chapter. So how did she go through grief? I felt it was really, really touching, because she's absolutely honest. So she's saying that about her brother: I loved him so much that I didn't want to leave. And then later on, she explains how she was feeling like a zombie. There's this passage that I really like, and she's saying, I was left with a huge void. I was weighed down with pain. I felt detached from reality and from people. Winky's absence shook me so far off my foundation that if I hadn't believed in God, I would have killed myself. My first inclination had been to blame God. So she's being really, really honest. And it has been observed that a lot of time when people are going through trauma, it is really soul shaking. It's basically shaking their faith to the core. But later on, at the end of the book, we can see that her faith has been restored. And I loved it, because this is totally relevant to me. This is absolutely the same path that I've been through. After I've been through my traumatic experiences, I basically decided that I didn't want to believe in God. I just basically wanted to let go of spirituality, and I felt empty for a lot of years. And then I went back to spirituality. I went back to establishing a contact with God, and as well, I felt like my faith was restored. I felt like my faith was stronger, more authentic, and my faith was real. So these are parallels that I can make with my life as well. We can see that this traumatic experience had an impact on her faith. She's saying, prayer, as much as I'm ashamed to admit it, was not enough to keep me straight. So she's being totally honest about it, because most of the time when you go to through something very difficult, um some people who are religious are going to say, pray about it, pray on it. However, it is not going to work for everyone straight away. It might take time for you to look within yourself, to search for the answers, to explore your emotions and your feeling, to go back to a spiritual place where you feel like you can re-establish this connection with God, for people who believe in God. So obviously these stages of grief that we see in the book, she struggles. So at first she was smoking every day, she was drinking, she was living like a zombie, she was doing everything to forget reality. And at some point she decided she wanted to go on with life, she wanted to get over it. And she realized that she needed to find purpose. And that's where music really helped her to get at a better place, to get through a better stage regarding her grief. So she's saying that music has been really healing for her. So she dedicated her time, she dedicated her spirit to music. And then she realized when she was good enough with music, when she was at a better place, and then when music was not good enough, she has been able to link again and have this connection again with God. Chapter 7 is also very, very spiritual, and I liked it because the way she lives her spirituality is also the way I live it. And I say that, and actually maybe after reading this book, this is how I develop my spirituality a bit more. Using this example, she's saying, for instance, when I speak to God, it's a release of my soul. Some mornings, I will lie in my bed and just start talking to God as if He were in the room with me. And of course, He is. So I know this idea of praying that has to be really regulated with all of these commodifications. And I believe that prayers don't always have to be so tightly regulated. To me, even talking to God in the way you talk to Him, this is a prayer. You're addressing God and you're making sure that He's close to you. This is spirituality. And this really resonated with. She is really secure about her belief, and I really love the moment when she's saying, faith is the opposite of fear. It is. When you have faith, your fear should reduce. I'm not saying that you're going to have a fearless life, but you don't have fear about all these little things that are not important, or all these little things that you cannot control. Trying to have too much control in your life is what is going to bring frustration. What you can control, and she's saying this as well, what you can control is how you feel and the direction you want to take in your life. What you can control also is how you're going to perceive things. It's going to be your vision of life, how you're going to take all these life events that are coming to you. You can control your mindset. So trying to control things, trying to control events, trying to control people is only going to bring frustration. Be happy with yourself. Try to control yourself first, how you think, how you act, how you live your life. And this is one little step that you can start for your journey toward happiness. Now, this chapter is very, very spiritual, and I know that not everybody is spiritual, or not everybody is going to feel the same way. This is life. We are humans, we are different. I love it. And she's emphasizing this in her book, and I love it. She's not trying to force this on you. This is how she feels. This is how I personally feel. This is my personal way of life. And she's also saying, I know I can't make someone accept God because you have to feel Him. I agree with that. That's why I have a problem with people who are trying to force religion, who are trying to force spiritual beliefs into people. Individually, you have to feel it, okay? And I believe this is a very important point. Queen Latifah grew so much. She grew so much emotionally from this experience, and we see it in chapter 7 because she's explaining that When you go through something like this, you need to feel the feels. You need to be able to identify your emotions, to be able to understand what are the next steps you need to take to heal. The idea of letting go of the pain is so important because for instance, what I realized is that for some years, for some time, I was so I was so used, I was so comfortable with the pain because I felt like pain was all I've known and I was comfortable with it. I was actually scared to heal. And sometimes you have to realize you need to let go of the pain to become your best self. Don't indulge yourself into the pain. It's going to require work, it's going to be uncomfortable, but you deserve your best self. You deserve to be happy. And throughout this chapter, which is chapter 7, there is a lot of introspection, there's a lot of self-reflection, and this chapter was one of my favorite actually.